These AI models are trained on publicly available data, all the data on the internet. So if you look at ChatGPT or Anthropic, Grok, Llama, what have you, they're all trained on all of the data on the internet. In other words, publicly available data. But for these models to reach their peak value, you need to not train them not just on publicly available data, but you need to make privately owned data available to those models as well. And that's where Oracle plays a particularly important role, because most of the world's high-value data is already in an Oracle database. We just had to change that database so that Oracle database can take the data that's already in the Oracle database and make it available to AI models for reasoning. So the AI model can reason on not just public data, but on private data.
That is Larry Ellison, founder of Oracle and one of the richest men alive. And he just said the quiet part out loud. The artificial intelligence machines have eaten the entire public internet, all available public data, and he just told a room full of applause what they are coming for next. Your private data. Listen to this.
An AI model, right now what's called a multimodal AI model, is made up of several neural networks. Like your brain has several parts. It's kind of a perfect analogy. To do vision, you use one part of your brain. To do language, you use a different part of your brain. When you're building an AI model, you use a different neural network for vision. Seeing something, seeing its edges, seeing its shape, seeing its color, seeing it move. And then a third neural network to classify it and organize it and reason with that data. So very much like our brains, a modern AI model is a multimodal model, but the much larger opportunity, the one that will truly change the world, isn't the creation of the models themselves, the training of the models. What will change the world is when we start using these remarkable electronic brains, and that's what they are. These are remarkable electronic brains to solve humanity's most difficult and enduring problems. Well, what's going on right now is a series of companies are spending vast fortunes training these AI models on publicly available data on the internet, enormous amounts of data. And this is AI training. It's very apparent after a few years of it. It's the largest, fastest growing business in human history, bigger than the railroads, bigger than the Industrial Revolution. And it is a whole new world that is dawning. The smartest people I know are investing fortunes. To be specific, they're investing their fortunes in building and training these AI models. That's how important they are. That's how extraordinary they are. And by the way, Elon, Mark, Sam, in alphabetical order, all really smart guys, extraordinary people. There'll be people spending money on AI because almost every tech company these days call themselves an AI company, but they're not. A lot of them are not. But AI, in terms of its value, this is the highest value technology we have ever seen by far. Well, how would a robot learn how to clean your house or scramble eggs or play the guitar? Well, it would just watch an internet video. It's connected to the internet. It can learn to play piano just like we would watching an internet video, except it would do it a little faster because it can play the internet video at very high speed and learn to play that piece by Chopin in about 5 seconds. AI robots will be much better surgeons than the best doctors. There's this very famous surgery started by Dr. Mose, who actually would take cancer lesions off patients' faces. And he was so famous for it because he did the least damage. He took the least amount of tissue off your skin. So cosmetically, he had fantastic results. He would take a couple of layers of skin off and then take the skin over to a microscope and look at it, cut a little bit of tissue, look at it on a microscope. AI robots don't play fair. Their vision, the vision on the robot, it is microscopic. They can see. They don't need a microscope to see individual cells. They don't need a microscope to see where the cancer ends and the healthy tissue begins. And their coordination, they're better surgeons than we are, not because they're smarter than we are, but because they have better hand-eye coordination. Their eyes are way better than ours, and the precision of their hands is way better than ours. But there's a big gotcha on these models, and that is the models do not get trained on your private data because for some reason people want to keep their private data private, and that's not going to change. But people also want these models to reason on their private data. Have your cake, eat it too. I want to keep my data private. I don't want to share it with anybody else. However, I'd like to use this enormously powerful tool to reason on my private data. And that's what Oracle has been applying itself to in terms of solving that particular problem.
So there is Larry Ellison telling you that the largest business in human history, artificial intelligence, has hit a wall. They have trained these models on everything that was ever public, and the well has run dry. The only frontier left is the data you locked away, your private data. Now listen to how they will get it.
They reason like we reason. They do deductions, they do inferencing, they do calculations, they have strategy, they have rules. All the techniques, the reasoning techniques that we use, they simulate and use, but they think a lot faster than we do and solve problems a lot faster than we do, or they solve really complicated problems that we can't solve at all. These models can answer your questions. They can generate computer code. A lot of the code that Oracle is writing, Oracle isn't writing. Our AI models are writing. We just tell the model what we want the program to do, and then the AI comes up with a step-by-step process to actually do it. We don't write the procedure. We declare our intent, but the model writes the step-by-step procedure, that thing we commonly think of as a computer program. We'll attach that model, the model of your choice, to not only the public data. The model's already connected to the public data. That's done. But we give you the ability to add your private data to the model's library of information and knowledge. So the model can reason across not just public data, but also private data while keeping your private data private, not sharing it with anybody else. That's very, very important. And it's not easy to do it in a highly secure way. The new Oracle database is called an AI database, not just because AI is fashionable. The new Oracle database is called an AI database because it has this RAG capability. It has the ability to take any of the data in the Oracle database and make it accessible to the AI model by vectorizing it. So since a lot of your data is in an Oracle database already, you simply have the Oracle database, put that data in a format the model will understand, and that's called a vector format. And the Oracle database will vectorize any data that you want to make available to the model. Let's say you have a lot of data in OCI Object Store, or Amazon Object Store for that matter, and you'd like to make that data available to the model, to the Oracle AI Data Platform. No problem. The Oracle database can go into OCI Object Store and vectorize and create what's called a vector index to data in OCI Object Store. It can go into Amazon Cloud Storage and vectorize portions of that belong to you and make that accessible for reasoning by the multimodal model. So you're not restricted to data that's just in the database. The Oracle database can vectorize anything that's in an Oracle database, a different cloud, and make that data easily accessible to the AI model for reasoning. Vibe coding, right? It sounds very Gen Z, which is just say what you want the program to do, generate the prototype, and try it out. Don't think about it too hard. Just get a feeling for it. Feel the vibe, I guess. You can use English. You can generate computer programs directly from English.
So there is the mechanism described as casually as plumbing. Wherever your data lives, even inside a competitor's cloud, they convert it into a format the machine can swallow. The wall around your private life was never a wall. It was a format problem, and they solved it. Now listen to whose data they reach for first.
So the first project Oracle did in terms of taking private data and making it accessible to AI models is we took all of our customer data and we vectorized it and used RAG to make it available to the models. So we started with customer data because we think there's nothing more important to us than our customers. Now, some people who are cynical, you would say there's nothing more valuable to us than our customers, but they go hand in hand. And then we ask the question, what Oracle customers are likely to buy another Oracle product in the next 6 months? Now, why should that be important to us? And specifically, what product each and every customer that's going to buy something in the next 6 months, do you mind telling me what product they're going to buy? Maybe would you answer that question? They're most likely to buy. And then we said, okay, let's send a mail to all of our prospective buyers with the 3 best customer references, encouraging them to buy. Now, that request required the generation of a computer program called an AI agent. They had to figure out, okay, you were going to buy this product, you're a bank in Switzerland. So we think the best references would be the banks in Switzerland that have already bought that product for you. Those would be the best references for you. So all of the references would be customized based on what we know about you as a customer and the exact situation you're in, the business you're in, the products you have, the other banks you have good relationships with. It's extremely interesting that it can solve a problem like this so quickly and tell us what the sales force should be concentrating on at Oracle over the next 6 months.
So the first thing they did was turn the machine on the people who trusted them. Every customer record fed to the model, asked to predict what each person buys and when, then an agent built to act on it without a human in the loop. If that is what they did with their own customers first, ask what the rest of your data becomes inside the machine. Now listen to the scale they are building to run it.
It's called artificial intelligence, but as opposed to artificial perception. But it does perceive, it hears, it smells. Think about smelling. The idea that you can pick up chemicals that are just drifting around in the atmosphere and figure out what those chemicals are. Dogs can smell cancer in patients. We should be able to do that with AI. And we're building sensors that can smell cancer or other illnesses. AI perceives. It's got the part of the brain that hears and sees. In addition to reasoning, it can read street signs. It can read a page on a book. It take a look at you and recognize you. Version 3 of ChatGPT was the one that used the huge transformer networks that did comprehensive language and reasoning. That requires enormous amounts of compute, thus the requirement for fortunes to train these models. These networks, the transformer network is much bigger and much more complex than some of the other networks. As you think reasoning would be more complex than vision. The brain has a lot, it's amazing. 20-watt human brain, 20 watts. Anyone who's screwed in a 20-watt light bulb, no, that's not a lot of light. But it's enough to run 86 billion neurons and give you vision and balance and reasoning and language and creativity and the ability of deduction and inferencing. You can do all of that with this incredible, what Elon calls a 20-watt meat computer. But we're not building a 20-watt meat computer. We're building a 1.2 billion watt AI brain. Eventually it's going to have 500,000 NVIDIA GPUs in it. A 1.2 billion watts, what does that really mean? That's enough to power 1 million 4-bedroom homes in the United States. 1 million. That's a pretty good sized city. We trained the very first version of Grok for Elon. We're training a number of other of these multimodal AI models. Almost all of these AI models are in the Oracle Cloud. We're certainly involved in training more multimodal AI models than any other company. And it's very exciting. The size of these projects that we're running, it's not just building the network of GPUs, the computer room, and the networks and the cooling. Now we have to build the power transmission plants. There's a natural gas pipeline that goes to the gas turbines, that fires up the gas turbines and then generate electricity. That electricity then has to be moved to the data center. So it's power generation, gas pipelines, power transmission, data centers, networks, identity theft. We said earlier in the early slides, AI knows who you are, that we recognize your face, your voice, your fingerprint. When you log in, you sit down at the computer and say, "Hi, Safra, what do you want to do today?" There's no, passwords are insane. Passwords get stolen. People write them down. The fact that your password has to be 17 characters long with at least 2 underscores next to each other. You out of your mind? The only way I'll ever remember this is I write it down and put it on a sticky note right next to my computer. So no passwords. It's all biometric. Better for everybody. Better data privacy. The other thing the drones can do is they can detect forest fires immediately with infrared cameras. They can even figure out who set the forest fires. We shouldn't have police cars chasing other cars around. Those high-speed chases, while they look kind of cool, they are very dangerous for not just the police, but for civilians in cars nearby. But we can have drones follow those cars. It's way better
So that is the plan from one of the richest men on the planet to applause. The public internet has been strip-mined, and the last untouched reserve on Earth is the private data of ordinary people, the records, the messages, the medical files, the things you assumed were yours alone. And the company that already holds most of it is the same one building the pipe to pump it into the machine. He is building a billion-watt brain that draws the power of a city and knows your face, your voice, and your fingerprint the moment you sit down, and he calls the end of passwords better data privacy. The system that identifies you by your body, that cannot be fooled or escaped, is sold to you as the thing that protects you. Hinton says the machines may slip our control. Yampolsky says they cannot be controlled at all. Amodei admits he does not know if his is alive. Ellison adds the quiet last piece that the fuel for all of it is you, not your labor, not your attention, but the private record of your entire life. Subscribe, because the public internet was only ever the appetizer.